Is that okay?
With your life.
It's okay.
President Trump was actually looking for you when he was speaking right here. Did you talk to President Trump this week about your Korea agenda, expressing your perhaps a disappointment over what you didn't get from the U.S. and China bilateral?
I tried to get to Korea as fast as I could, but I happened to be in Washington, D.C. doing a major event, our largest conference in Washington, D.C. And so as fast as I could get to Korea to support him, unfortunately, he was already finished. And he knew everything that I was going to announce here in Korea. President Lee knew everything I was going to announce, and they're all really proud of the announcement, and they're really, really pleased that we're investing so much American technology, and we're going to make such large investments here in Korea. And so President Lee was very supportive. President Trump was very supportive. I'm delighted by the success of the summit that they had between President Trump and President Xi. Just from reading, like everybody else, it sounded like it was a huge success. I don't know what they spoke about or didn't speak about, and I'm looking forward to learning more over time.
You mentioned that the Chinese government blocked the H20. What do you think the real market opportunity is for Nvidia in China, given that the Chinese government has been signaling that it wants Chinese companies to buy Chinese chips?
That's understandable. Every country should want their companies to succeed. And China has really extraordinary companies. Their entrepreneurial spirit, their technology speed, their innovation speed, their work ethic. And of course, you can't overstate the incredible might of China manufacturing. And so I think the Chinese companies are formidable, and they have every right to be formidable. And China has every right to want their companies to succeed.
Right, but what role would you have in there? How competitive is the B30A, for example?
I was about to answer your question, how big of a market opportunity it is. It's, I would say it's probably $50 billion this year. It's probably, call it a couple of $100 billion by the end of the decade. China is the world's second largest computer market. It is vibrant, it is growing, it is extremely modern, and it's also very competitive. If we want to succeed in China, we just have to be extraordinarily competitive. But I think we're putting the, if you will, the cart before the horse. I think ultimately, the U.S. government and the Chinese government have to decide what role they would like Nvidia to play. And I think that I've been very clear that having Nvidia technology in China is in the best interest of the United States and the best interest of China as well. And I hope that, I'm optimistic, and I hope that the right answers will emerge.
Nvidia has to pay a 15% tax.
I got a question about your investment in the U.S. I know that you recently visited TSMC's Arizona factory. So I just wonder how many proportions of your advanced chips to be produced in the U.S.?
TSMC invested in manufacturing in the United States. TSMC really today, because of that investment, has become a global company. Not just TSMC, of course, is an incredible company, largely in Taiwan. Because of Arizona, TSMC is an incredible company that is now global, with a global footprint. I think that's terrific. It's a real transformation of TSMC's posture, and it provides customers like ourselves diversity and resilience in manufacturing. I deeply appreciate that they are supporting NVIDIA in manufacturing in the United States. It's very important to NVIDIA that we have the ability to manufacture critical technology in the United States. And so I appreciate TSMC. I appreciate all of my partners from Steel and Amkor and Foxconn and Wistron and many others who are going to help us build entire systems in the United States.
When will the be delivered to Korea?
Several chipmakers have announced that their HBM supply for next year is already sold out. Does this indicate that price negotiations with NVIDIA for HBM4 have been finalized?
I'm actually not sure the answer. But the thing I am sure is that Nvidia and SK and Samsung and all of our suppliers and supply chain partners have been working together for 30 years. And somehow, we always find a way to do good business together. And I have every confidence that we will do very successful business together. The thing that you said that is most important is the growth is so incredible. The growth is so incredible. Even with all of the expanded HBM supply, we are going to be quite challenged still. And so the growth that we are seeing in our business, NVIDIA's business, is growing faster. It's growing faster by the month. And so I appreciate our partners working hard to keep up with us.
Sorry, I have one last question.
No.
I have one last question, so I'm about to go on air. How big will your China business and your China sales be with the export restrictions or without the export restrictions?
Well, NVIDIA had 95% of the China market. Today, we have 0%. At the beginning of the Biden administration, we had 95%. And the policies of that administration really caused us to lose practically the entire China market. I would guess that China is probably something like, $35 to $50 billion a year to us if we were fully in that market today. And by the end of the decade, it's probably well over $100 billion. It's quite substantial, but at the moment it's 0. We're forecasting 0. We're expecting 0. We're hoping for non-zero, but we're expecting 0, and we'll do our best and continue to grow the company. Of course, around the world, the opportunity is really quite substantial. We're going through a platform shift from the old way of doing computing to this new way, NVIDIA's way of doing accelerated computing and AI. We're in the beginning of the decade journey of building out this infrastructure. I think it's going to be really a lot of growth with or without China. But the China market is very special, and we don't take it for granted, and it would be really helpful that we're in there.
When do you expect the GPUs to be delivered to Korea? When do you expect the chips to be delivered to Korea?
The critical path for chips in Korea is actually building the factories, the data centers. And so we need power generation, and the data centers. As soon as those data centers are built, I'll make sure chips get here as fast as possible. Okay?
Well, last question.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. This is your last question. I do.
Do you miss Marshall? Will you meet him in Taiwan next week?
I don't know if I'll see him next week. But every time I go to Taiwan, he's the first person I see. And so, Mr. Huang, yeah, Morris and Sophie is always the first stop, and I always enjoy seeing them.
What's your message for people in South Korea who admires you and your company's vision?
Well, I'm grateful for their friendship. Korea has welcomed me for 30 years with open arms.